Chapter 271. When Yiqing Luo heard Tong Ziqing's words, she squinted her eyes and said indifferently, "Essence grade also have spiritual qi, and after my profound qi, it has already caused a backlash. If you don't want to live, I don't mind continuing to fight with you at the training grounds." Essence grade and above weapons all had their own spiritual qi. Once the spiritual qi was invaded by a stronger aura, the weapon's spiritual qi would activate its self-protection mode. Earlier Yiqing Luo injected her profound qi into Tong Ziqing's body through the whip. Naturally it would cause a backlash. Tong Ziqing's internal injury was definitely not light. If she insisted on continuing the battle with her with injuries, her life would be in danger. Tong Ziqing naturally understood her own body's condition. That burst of tearing pain in her chest made her unable to concentrate on circulating the profound qi in her profound heart jade. She clasped her chest tightly as she stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. Tong Ziqing knew that what Yiqing Luo said was the truth, but to leave in front of the entire class. What face did she have to continue to stay here? Go back to recuperate. A clear and deep voice was heard from the door. That voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with a kind of dignity which no one could refute. The entire classroom immediately turned silent. "Yes, Sister Ziqing, let Lulu take a look at you later." That blue-robed young lady gave a mischievous smile. "The future is long. After you have recuperated, then continue the battle with this new student, isn't that better?" Hearing the young lady's words, Tong Ziqing's pupils suddenly expanded as she subconsciously looked towards the young man in front. The future is long. These 4 words meant that the class monitor had acknowledged the existence of this new student. That's right, the class monitor admired the strong most. This new student was indeed very strong. Tong Ziqing didn't say another word as she politely nodded towards the person standing at the door, and with the help of the other students, she left the classroom. Yiqing Luo then shifted her vision onto those few people who had just entered. There were a total of 4 people. 2 males and 2 females. Standing in front was a young man, estimated to be around 21 or 22 years old. He was dressed in a black long robe with purple embroidery, a head full of ink black hair was tied up by a purple gold crown, looking extremely elegant. His entire body was encircled with an icy cold aura which kept people away. His handsome face was so handsome that it could suffocate a young girl's heart. What caught Yiqing Luo's attention the most was that pair of azure blue eyes. It was a pair of extremely pure blue eyes. They were clear and moist, and in the blink of an eye, they seemed to be suffused with waves of ripples. The monitor of Devil Class. Needless to guess, Yiqing Luo knew with one look that this person was the class monitor who was revered by the students in Devil Class. He didn't expect the class monitor to be so young. Yiqing Luo recognized the man and woman behind the class monitor. The youth behind the class monitor was Vice Class Monitor Qiao Jin. As for that young lady, she was dressed in a pink long dress and there were 2 pink furry balls hanging on her collar and sleeves. With such a cute personality, wasn't she Yiqing Luo's roommate, Mo Yuing? So, Mo Yuing was a student of the Devil Class. No wonder Shangguan Liuli angrily called her trash the moment she saw her. No wonder she had once said that there were no teachers in her class. However, Yiqing Luo didn't believe that a person with that pair of cold eyes would be a waste. Moreover, for her to be able to stay by the class monitor's side, her status was clearly comparable to Qiao Jin's. It was enough to prove that Yiqing Luo's intuition was right. As for the other blue-robed young lady, she was the young lady who had caught Tong Ziqing earlier. Chapter 272. How interesting. Within Yiqing Luo's body, there seemed to be a pot of hot blood gradually boiling. She believed that in the near future, the growth in this devil class would absolutely be much more than the other classes. To have such a batch of weird characters, but their abilities were all above average. It would definitely be a huge help to her cultivation. Just entered the class and already injured 3 of our classmates. This new student's temper, isn't it a little too bad-tempered? Qiao Jin smiled as he leaned closer to Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly, "Since it's my first time here, I naturally have to send my generous gift." Xiao Jin laughed loudly as he tossed the gold coin darts in his palm. Your character is really similar to Class Monitor. No wonder Class Monitor would specially pay attention to you. The moment he said that, the surrounding students all turned their gazes towards Yiqing Luo. Following that, they all dug their ears in unison, as though they had rehearsed this countless of times. What? Did they hear wrongly? Class Monitor would pay attention to a new student? Vice Class Monitor, she's the new student who said that devil class isn't waste and we are all born with talent. The blue-robed young lady blinked her eyes as she quickly walked in front of Yiqing Luo, staring at her with a pair of watery eyes. Seeing Xiao Jin nodding his head, the young lady's gaze flashed as she stared at Yiqing Luo. What you said is right, although we are devil class's students, but whether we are waste or not, it's not up to them, but we ourselves have the final say. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as her gaze fell onto Xiao Jin. These words were what she said to Dong Huang Lang at the freshman training grounds. Why? Did it spread to the devil class? She suddenly recalled that when she left the training grounds, she bumped into a young man whose looks weren't outstanding. It seemed. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she stared at Xiao Jin carefully for some time, raised her finger and pointed at him. It's you? Xiao Jin shrugged his shoulders as he gave a noncommittal smile. It's because of your words, that moved Class Monitor. Mo Ewing tilted her head as her soft voice was calm. Those words moved Class Monitor? Sit. Without waiting for Yiqing Luo to investigate further, Class Monitor's clear voice was heard. All the students, with lightning speed, swiftly returned to their own seats. Ni Roapen held her injured arm as she slowly walked to the corner and stood there. In the entire classroom, only the Class Monitor and Yiqing Luo were left standing. New student, feel free to find a place to sit. The class leader's thin lips moved, and the corner of his mouth curved into a faint smile. However, this smile did not reach his eyes. Instead, it caused his entire being to emit a sense of distance that made him feel unapproachable. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Ni Roapan, who was shivering in the corner of the wall. Out of all the students in the devil class, only Ni Roapan seemed to be incompatible with the class. And he was even treated as trash by these students? Seeing how Ni Roapan was initially afraid of Tong Ziqing, but for her sake, she stubbornly begged Tong Ziqing, Yiqing Luo's heart softened a little. She was not a kind-hearted person, but she was not cold-blooded either. Good to her, she will remember in mind. Yiqing Luo walked directly towards Ni Roapan and pulled her wrist as she walked towards the empty space in front. Ni Roapan's shoulders were pressed down forcefully by Yiqing Luo as her buttocks stuck onto the wooden chair. Her entire body was shaking like a sieve. Her originally fair little face had now turned even paler. The surrounding students' expressions instantly turned ugly. New student, Sir Class Monitor asked you to sit, but it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. This is a punishment for the weak. She's the last place in the class, so she has no right to sit in class. Ni Roapan's entire body trembled as her eyes opened wide, as she was so scared that tears started to flow out. Chapter 273. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her gaze was like a sharp blade. I said to let her sit, so she can sit. Those students who were filled with dissatisfaction were swept by this gaze as their voices were instantly choked in their throats. This freshman was different from the previous freshman. To be able to defeat their goddess Tong, her ability was absolutely strong. Their gazes turned towards the Class Monitor, anticipating that the Class Monitor would teach the freshman a lesson, to suppress her arrogance. However, the Class Monitor seemed as though he didn't see this happening as he said calmly, "Today there's a freshman in the class and her ability, I believe everyone has witnessed it for themselves." The students' gazes were filled with reverence as they stared at the Class Monitor. Because of this freshman has been specially approved to join the class committee. Everyone get along well, and as for the class rules, find some time to tell her. After the Class Monitor finished this sentence, he turned around and left the classroom. Before he left, his peripheral vision seemed to glance at Yiqing Luo. His azure blue eyes were flowing with shallow ripples, as though it contained a deep meaning which no one could understand. After a while, he retracted his vision and walked out of the classroom without turning back. The classroom's main door was slowly shut. A thud sound of the door jolted the students who were already in a daze. After some time, they regained their senses as they stared at Yi-Ching Luo in disbelief. Why is a freshman able to join the class committee? What's her relationship with Sir Class Monitor? Such an unreasonable freshman. Sir Class Monitor actually didn't get angry. The students started to point fingers at Yi-Ching Luo, guessing at her identity. No one doubted the class monitor's decision, but they were all doubting Yi-Ching Luo's identity, doubting if she had the right to stand beside the class monitor. Yi-Ching Luo's slender brows creased slightly. What the hell was the class committee? Why did everyone's gazes become so strange when they heard this news? Ni Roa Pan, who was still shivering by the side, heaved a sigh of relief until the class monitor left. The class monitor didn't stop her from sitting down, which meant that she could sit and listen to lessons in future. Thinking of this, Ni Roa Pan's heart calmed down. Seeing Yi-Ching Luo rubbing her chin with a look of deep thoughts, she pressed her chest and said softly, "The class committee is the group that manages this class. There are a total of 4 people." From Ni Roa Pan's mouth, Yi-Ching Luo found out. The young class monitor was called Long Yun Zhan. Other than coming to inspect the training results of the students every day, he was rarely seen at other times. Usually, it was the vice class monitor who loitered around the school and guided everyone. As for the class committee, it was the people who managed these students. Just like what Yi-Ching Luo had guessed, Xiao Jin and Mo Yuing were both members of the class committee. That blue-clothed young lady just now was called Yan Xiao Yi and was also a member of the class committee. The other person was Bai Ming Lulu, the young master of the Miracle Doctor clan. In the usual training or group duels, even if they were beaten half to death, as long as they still had a breath left, Bai Ming Lulu could use her magical medical skills to bring them back from the gates of hell. You've just arrived and you're able to join the class committee. Class monitor must think highly of you. Ni Roa Pan looked at Yi-Ching Luo in adoration. She had not expected this freshman to be so powerful. Highly regarded? Yi-Ching Luo's squinted eyes reflected a piercingly cold glint. She didn't believe that Long Yun Zhan would entrust such an important task to her without understanding her at all. Rather than saying highly regarded, it should be said that he had another motive. Sister Zi Qing had wanted to join the class committee for a long time, but her ability had never reached the class monitor's requirements. Chapter 274. This lass, in this class, was obviously bullied so badly, but she still spoke up for Long Yun Zhan. Apparently she admired Long Yun Zhan a lot. The first time they met, Yi-Ching Luo wasn't able to understand Long Yun Zhan thoroughly. Her heart was filled with curiosity. What kind of charm did Long Yun Zhan have, to be able to make this class, with all kinds of different characters, so obedient? Thinking back to when she was the Yi family's patriarch, she gave her all for the Yi family, giving up her normal life, but she still wasn't able to make everyone in the family submit to her. Ni Roa Pan seemed to have seen through Yi-Ching Luo's thoughts. Her lips curled slightly, that pale and frail little face revealed a gentle and shy smile. This smile made the lines on her face softer. She was indeed a beauty. Although I was allocated to the devil class 2 months ago, but I can feel that the class monitor is the salvation of the devil class. Before the class monitor came to the devil class was really a place where trash gathered. After entering the academy, those who performed badly in the entrance examinations and the freshman training were all thrown to the devil class to fend for themselves. All the students in the academy can bully us, humiliate us, and if they are in a bad mood, they can vent their anger on us anytime. Ni Roa Pan pursed her pale lips tightly, both her hands, which were placed on her knees, clenched tightly into fists, as though she was recalling her past self. No one will stand up for us, to those outstanding students. Trash like us shouldn't even live in this world. Later on, I came to the devil class. Here, everyone had been treated as trash, all of them had been hurt before, but they are not any worse off than anyone else now. Ni Roa Pan's eyes glowed with warmth, filled with hope. I believe I will also become as incredible as them. Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept past the surrounding students. From their aura, she could feel that these people were absolutely not trash. Like those 8 people at the entrance earlier, even if they wanted to enter the high profound class, it wasn't impossible. Not to mention Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Looked like Long Yunzhan had a special way to guide these people who were once treated as trash. And these people were once bullied, and had always been linked with the word trash. Once someone saved them, they would follow that person for the rest of their lives. Moreover, these people were used to the coldness and warmth of the world. If they were to become stronger, they would definitely be a force that could destroy the world. New student, there's one more important point, the most important sentence, you must remember it. Ni Ruopan suddenly thought of something as both of her hands grabbed onto Yi Qing Luo's hands. Her little hands were very thin and weak, and her bones were small and cold. Yi Qing Luo was stunned by this sudden action and almost flung Ni Ruopan out. Ni Ruopan clenched her fists tightly, and her eyes were filled with seriousness. You must remember, everything that happens in the devil class must not be divulged to the outside. This is the rule of the devil class. Yi Qing Luo nodded her head. She had long guessed this point. If it wasn't for this rule, the devil class wouldn't have been able to remain mysterious for so many years. When these students walked out, each and every one of them had a high profound grade, who would associate them with the devil class. New student, take out your academy's wooden token and badge, I'll inject you into the class. Xiao Jin walked over and stretched out his hand towards Yi Qing Luo. Chapter 275. Yi Qing Luo took out the badge on her chest and passed it over. Xiao Jin picked up the wooden badge and swept it with his palm. That wooden badge shone brightly and the surrounding students immediately crowded forward to take a look at Yi Qing Luo's information. As Xiao Jin's fingers touched Yi Qing Luo's academy badge, a golden light flashed and rows of golden characters appeared. Name, Yi Qing Luo. Gender, female. Age, 15. Profound grade, yellow profound 9th grade class, devil class. Identity, 3 Spring sex. Young matriarch, Yi family. 7th Miss, yellow profound 9th grade. Yellow profound 9th grade? This freshman is only yellow profound 9th grade? The students who were nearer were all stunned when they saw the profound grade displayed on the wooden badge. When he said that, everyone stared at Yi Qing Luo in disbelief. How could this be? How could she possibly be only at yellow profound grade? I thought she was at least above earth profound grade. She's so arrogant. The moment she joined devil class and was even valued by the class monitor. She's actually only at yellow profound grade? One must know that their goddess Tong's profound grade was at mystic profound 9th grade. She was just one step away from breaking through to earth profound grade. But she was defeated by a yellow profound 9th grade cultivator? And she was defeated so easily. How could this be possible? No one could believe that the overbearing and powerful Yi Qing Luo was actually just a yellow profound cultivator. Devil class had a total of 60 students and there were about 20 over yellow profound grade cultivators. But these 20 over students were mostly lacking the opportunity to break through. As long as they found that opportunity, they would be able to advance to mystic profound grade. These 20 over students were especially shocked. Same profound grade, how could this freshman actually defeat Tong Ziqing, who was 1 grade higher than herself? Xiao Jin narrowed his eyes as his fingers rubbed the wooden badge for a while. The profound grade had always been showing the words, yellow profound 9th grade. Yellow profound 9th grade. Xiao Jin's gaze met with Mo Yuing, Yan Xiaoyi and the others. Other than Mo Yuing, who was still expressionless, Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's eyes flashed with astonishment. Yi Qing Luo? I've heard this name before. She's the 7th young mistress of the Yi family who was targeted by the faculty council 2 days after entering the hospital. I remember her. On the day of the ability assessment, she even rejected Master Gui Yu's request to take her as his disciple, saying that she was the overlord's disciple. The student shifted his gaze from Yi Qing Luo's profound grade to her name. At that moment, the class was in an uproar again. These students usually hid their badges in their classes, disguising their identities as devil class students, and came and went freely in the academy. Naturally, he had heard of Yiqing Luo's name and heard some rumors about her. He didn't expect that this delicate and sweet-looking girl in front of him was actually that arrogant, egotistical, and infuriating freshman who had recently become famous in the academy. Yiqing Luo's expression remained calm, as though the person whom everyone was discussing wasn't her. The fact that she wasn't a yellow profound grade 9, but a mystic profound grade 4, naturally wouldn't be exposed. Hence, these students casually guessed that she had defeated Tong Ziqing with her yellow mystic 9th grade cultivation. In actual fact, if it was a one-on-one official competition, Yiqing Luo might not necessarily be able to gain the upper hand against Tong Ziqing. This time, she was merely relying on Tong Ziqing's arrogance and overconfidence. It was only when Tong Ziqing was defenseless that he managed to succeed. Tong Ziqing's profound rank was a solid foundation that she had consolidated. Chapter 276. Xiao Jin narrowed his eyes as he returned the wooden token and badge back to Yiqing Luo. Yellow profound 9th grade? This freshman really had the ability to change the profound grade on the academy's wooden token. Even Long Yunzhan wasn't able to change the profound grade on the academy's wooden token. They could at most seal their own wooden tokens in the enchantment which Long Yunzhan had set up. That enchantment could seal the updated data of their wooden tokens. In the academy's elder quarters and teacher courtyard, all the students in the devil class had their profound grades fixed at the profound grades when they first entered the devil class. Of course, those people in the academy usually couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the changes in devil class's profound grade. He didn't say anything as he walked to the side of the table. That's all for today. Those who want to stay at the training grounds for training, go ahead. Those who want to return to the dormitory, report to the training grounds at 5 p.m. The students who were seated below the stage were used to it as they responded with a loud yes. They then heard Xiao Jin continuing, "Ni Roa Pan, the morning's training is not completed, continue until it is completed." The students started to hiss as their gazes fell onto Ni Roa Pan. Following that, they shifted their gazes onto Yiqing Luo. The ridicule in their eyes was obvious. Apparently, they often ridiculed Ni Roa Pan in this way. Human nature was like this. In the past, these people made the surrounding people use this kind of gaze to treat them. Because of this, when they saw people who were weaker than themselves, they found a little bit of comfort in their hearts. Ni Roa Pan bit her lower lip as her eyelids drooped down as her pale little face surfaced 2 bundles of red. Her little hands held onto her skirt as she kept rubbing it. "All right, you can all disperse." Xiao Jin clapped his hands and all the students instantly stood up. Yiqing Luo saw this and followed suit as she stood up. She heard the students speaking in unison, "Thank you all for your hard work, we will arrive at the training grounds punctually at 5 p.m. When Xiao Jin walked down from the side of the table, the classroom resumed its previous hustle and bustle. The students all dispersed as though they were liberated, and there were some who formed groups of 2s and 3s as they pointed at Yiqing Luo. Ni Roa Pan's hands were placed on the table. Her slender and fair wrists were so skinny that one could faintly see the white bones protruding out. The strands of hair by her cheeks covered half of her face. Yiqing Luo could still tell that her eyes were filled with tears. "Still not leaving?" Yiqing Luo frowned slightly. To be honest, she had never dealt with such a weak and crybaby before, and she did not like dealing with such a person. However, this little girl's kindness made it impossible for her to ignore her. Ni Rupan turned her head away as she did not want Gu Shijiu to see her crying. He tried his best to sound calm, but there was a hint of sobbing in his voice. "It's okay, I'll leave in a while. She wouldn't dare to walk in front of us. When there's no one left in the classroom, she'll leave." The student in the front row sneered. Ni Rupan lowered her head even more. The student spat disdainfully and left without looking back. "You're always the last one to leave the classroom?" Wouldn't Ni Rupan feel lonely facing such a spacious and quiet academy all by herself? Did he have to put himself in such a lowly position? Yiqing Luo had been walking on a high-class status since young, so she simply couldn't understand this kind of feeling. She frowned and pulled Ni Rupan's wrist with a sullen face. Let's go to the training ground. Yi Qing Luo's strength was extremely strong and Ni Rupan couldn't struggle free at all. Student Yi. No. I'll wait a while more. Ni Rupan was forcefully pulled up as she pleaded in a hoarse voice. Chapter 277. Yi Qing Luo's forehead was filled with black lines. Damn it. Why did it feel as though she was the one bullying Ni Rupan? Student Yi, leave first, don't bother about me. I'll be fine on my own. Ni Rupan sniffled but her tears kept flowing down uncontrollably. She swung Yi Qing Luo's hand which was holding her, while the other hand wiped her tears. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased even tighter. Those students who were intending to leave all stopped as they gathered around to watch the show. Tell me first, why are you crying? Yi Qing Luo let go of Ni Rupan's wrist as she frowned as she asked. Ni Rupan suppressed her sobs as she wiped her tears fiercely. I don't want to cry. Can crying solve the problem? Will your cowardice make those people sympathize with you? Putting yourself in such a lowly position, will you be happy? Yi Qing Luo directly interrupted her sobbing words as she bombarded her with questions. Ni Rupan's hand which was wiping her tears paused as she looked at Yi Qing Luo with teary eyes. No. You're not happy. Yi Qing Luo replied to her own question, word by word. Following that, she gave a cold snort. Even if you cry to death here, no one will feel heartache for you. Your cowardice will only allow others to step on your head unscrupulously, and in this way, you won't feel happy. I've said this before, no one is born a waste, unless you position yourself as a waste. Then, what you told me previously, that you want to become as strong as Tong Zi Qing, is all bullshit. Ni Rupan's eyes widened in embarrassment, especially when she heard Yi Qing Luo actually set out her extravagant wish in front of all the students. She felt even more ashamed. She even felt that the surrounding students were ridiculing her for overestimating herself. Look, you don't even dare to admit your own wish. Yi Qing Luo scoffed lightly as her eyes were gradually masked with a layer of iciness. If you continue like this, you can forget about becoming a strong person forever. Yi Qing Luo had no interest to continue lecturing a hopeless ado. Life was chosen by oneself. If Ni Rupan chose to live a waste's life, then she had to pay the same price for her choice. The weak state of mind, no one could change it. Only she herself could walk out of it. Yi Qing Luo didn't bother about Ni Rupan and left the classroom directly. Behind him, he could hear the laughter of the students. He could vaguely hear Ni Rupan sobbing. Yi Qing Luo didn't turn back. Accepting such ridicule was Ni Rupan's own choice. There was nothing she could do. She had already repaid the kindness that Ni Rupan had shown to her. She still had to rely on herself for the rest of the journey. Yi Qing Luo didn't stop as she followed the route she came from and left the devil class. Just as she reached the dormitory entrance, Yi Qing Luo's nose twitched and smelled a familiar fragrance. There was someone in the dormitory? Mo Yuing and Lu Xiaoyu were both people who didn't like to use fragrances, and this smell, a figure flashed across his mind. Yi Qing Luo immediately pushed open the door and indeed in the living room, she saw a lady sitting on a soft chair drinking tea. The woman's cold face had a sinister smile in her eyes. Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu, who had just stepped into the dormitory's door, originally had a complacent smile on her face, but the minute she saw that woman, her expression changed immediately. Lu Xiaoyu rushed to Yi Qing Luo's side. Qing Luo, why is she in our dormitory? The minute she saw Lu Xiaoyu was extremely disgusted. As the vice president, she always abused her position for personal gain. Chapter 278. Lu Xiaoyu put down the teacup and stood up slowly. Her slender figure was exquisite and well-proportioned. Her cold eyes blinked a few times, her red lips curved deeper. Student Yi, Student Lu, I am your new roommate, in future. Please take care. After the 3 words new roommate drilled into her ears, Lu Xiaoyu's expression froze on her face. New roommate? New room. Friend. Lu Shuiyu was actually their new roommate. This. Could they still live happily in the future? You did it on purpose. Lu Xiaoyu was furious. What a joke, Lu Shuiyu and Shengguan Luli were not on the same level. If Lu Shuiyu was her new roommate, she would rather Shengguan Luli stay. At least, Shengguan Luli was easy to bully. This is the arrangement of the academy. Lu Shuiyu said calmly, her gaze swept past Yiqing Luo. After all, we are not considered strangers, living together, it is good to interact. Bah. Interact? I think you are simply. Lu Xiaoyu had not finished her words, when Yiqing Luo grabbed her wrist. To be personally protected by the faculty council vice president, and to prevent other students from harassing the dormitory, it is my honor. Yiqing Luo smiled indifferently, there was no trace of displeasure on her face. On the contrary, Lu Shuiyu, after listening to Yiqing Luo's words, her face sunk. Yiqing Luo's words was obviously comparing her to a guard. A guard to protect Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. Ever since Shengguan Luli was replaced, she had been quite curious about who the new roommate would be. But unfortunately, the new roommate was nowhere to be seen. Yiqing Luo had roughly guessed that this new roommate must be someone from the faculty council. But what she did not expect was that Lu Shuiyu would personally move into the dormitory, to monitor her at close range. This was indeed. Since the establishment of the faculty council, Yiqing Luo was the only one to enjoy the special honor. Yiqing Luo concealed the deep meaning in her eyes, and stared at Lu Xiaoyu. Noticing that the badge on Lu Xiaoyu's chest had already displayed a intermediate character, a gentle smile appeared on his face. Xiaoyu, how are you doing in intermediate profound class 2? Earlier when Lu Xiaoyu came back, her face was obviously happy. It could be seen that she was doing well on her first day in class. Thanks to these 2 days of training, I gritted my teeth and completed it with you. The headmaster praised me in front of all the students today. Lu Xiaoyu immediately ignored Lu Shuiyu. She puffed out her chest and smiled proudly. After all, he was still a child. It was a great honor to be praised by the headmaster in front of all the students. It's good that the headmaster likes us. Remember, we are new students. If we can avoid stealing the limelight, we should try our best to avoid it. Lu Xiaoyu nodded vigorously and couldn't stop smiling. What excited me the most was Shengguan Liuli. She was reprimanded by the headmaster. After entering intermediate profound class 2, Shengguan Liuli used her identity as Miss Shengguan to insult Lu Xiaoyu. Before Lu Xiaoyu could retaliate, the headmaster arrived. The rule of the academy was to respect the teachers. Naturally, these teachers had developed a lofty and arrogant personality. In this heavenly academy, no matter what identity you have outside, in their eyes, you are a student. Especially today when the new students entered the class, the headmaster also had to punish the chicken to warn the monkey. He pointed at Shengguan Liuli and scolded her, and reprimanded her results in the ability assessment and the 2 days of training. In front of all the students, he directly questioned whether Shengguan Liuli was like Yiqing Ling during the ability assessment, using other things to enhance her own strength. During the freshman training, her true colors were revealed. Chapter 279. Lu Xiaoyu had thought that since Shengguan Liuli had stuffed a lot of gifts into the teacher's hands, she would definitely be ostracized in the intermediate profound class 2. He didn't expect the academy to be so noble. Yiqing Luo saw her delighted look as she laughed lightly. Lu Shuiyu, who had been ignored, saw that the two of them were having a good time and laughed happily. As for herself, after Yiqing Luo's counterattack, she was humiliated and returned to the faculty council, but was punished by Si Yanmu and almost demoted. Lu Shuiyu's heart was burning with rage. Speaking of which, how is student Ye's taste in the devil class? Don't you think that place suits you very well? Lu Shuiyu sneered and said in a strange tone. The sharp and cold voice was extremely ear-piercing. Lu Xiaoyu furrowed her brows and glared at Lu Shuiyu in disgust. Why are you so annoying? The reason why Qing Luo would go to the devil class, you know it better than anyone else. I'm just a vice president. I can't interfere with the decisions of the elder council. Lu Shuiyu gave a light humph as her eyes were filled with ridicule towards Yi Qing Luo. Isn't student Yi very powerful? Then go to the elders department and ask the elder to change shifts for you. I'm sure student Yi has the ability to do so. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up into a faint smile as she casually swept a glance at Lu Shuiyu. I'm rather thankful to the academy for allocating me to the devil class. That place is indeed suitable for me. If not for Lu Shuiyu, if not for Elder Yunxiang, she would not have barged into the mysterious devil class. Compared to the high profound class or the class of gods, she would rather stay in the crouching tigers and hidden dragons devil class. Yi Qing Luo totally believed that in the future, the devil class would absolutely surpass the class of gods and become the most powerful class in the heavenly academy. Lu Shuiyu didn't seem to have expected that she wanted to use the devil class to ridicule Yi Qing Luo, but Yi Qing Luo totally didn't mind that she was allocated to the devil class. Originally he thought that Yi Qing Luo didn't resist going to the devil class, and even spouted out a lot of logic, but it was just to cover up the embarrassment and humiliation of going to the devil class. But at this moment, Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards, and that touch of confidence in her eyes. Her words were indeed from the bottom of her heart. Lu Shuiyu's cold and elegant face instantly turned ashen as she stared at Yi Qing Luo's exquisite jade-like complexion. The vicious glint in her eyes became increasingly piercingly cold. She snorted coldly, flicked her sleeves, turned around, and walked towards her room. Ha ha ha, want to fight with Qing Luo, in your next life? Lu Xiaoyu saw Lu Shuiyu leaving in anger and stuck out her tongue at her back view. Lu Xiaoyu didn't stop laughing until Lu Shuiyu's door was slammed shut. She held onto Yi Qing Luo's arm. Are you really not going to ask the elders to switch to the high profound class? Even if it's the intermediate profound class, devil class, that place. It's good there. Yi Qing Luo interrupted Lu Xiaoyu's words as her curly long lashes fluttered at an indifferent frequency. I will not mistreat myself, and teacher Guiyu will go and teach the devil class, so don't worry. Lu Xiaoyu pursed her lips. I heard that Master Guiyu had applied to the elder quarters to be the master of devil class, but was rejected by Elder Yunxiang. Elder Yunxiang again? Why did she feel that this elder had been targeting her? But other than Elder Yunxiang, the other elders probably wouldn't agree to it. Teacher Guiyu wanted to go to the devil class to be a master, but it was very difficult for him to pass the academy's hurdle. Yi Qing Luo couldn't understand Teacher Guiyu's status in the academy, but she was very clear that if Teacher Guiyu were to teach the class of gods, it would be more than enough. Such a powerful figure, to let him teach the waste class which even the academy had given up, wouldn't that be wasting God's gift? Chapter 280. Master Guiyu directly went to look for the director. I wonder what the outcome of the negotiation is. Lu Xiaoyu told Yi Qing Luo about the news that she had heard. Yi Qing Luo recalled Guiyu's gloomy expression when she mentioned the director. He obviously wasn't willing to meet the director. But in order to be a teacher in the devil class, he took the initiative to look for the director. A surge of warmth started to spread in her heart. Yi Qing Luo's brows revealed a sliver of gentleness. I know. As soon as she finished speaking, her expression changed slightly, and a familiar smell seemed to seep into her nose. Her eyes flickered slightly as she smiled. All right, take a rest first. I'll treat you to dinner at the canteen tonight. Hearing about treating, Lu Xiaoyu's eyes shone brightly. Then it's decided. Sending Lu Xiaoyu back to her room with her eyes, Yi Qing Luo then turned around and walked towards her own room. The minute she entered the room, that elegant sandalwood smell was even more intense. She saw a tall and slender figure lying on that big bed. His jet-black long hair flowed down like smoke, as it scattered on the mattress. His purple long robe was like a mysterious mandala flower blooming. His chest intentionally revealed a large portion of his chest muscles, adding an eye-catching demonic charm. On that handsome face, those sparkling peach blossom eyes squinted, faintly bringing out a sliver of electric current feeling. Dmo Xian, why was he here? Yi Qing Luo's heart suddenly stopped, as if a hand was pinching her heart. In her mind, the words she said this morning when they parted suddenly surfaced. Dmo Xian, do you like me? The next time we meet, I'll be waiting for your answer. Her cheeks floated 2 bunches of red. Yiqing Luo thought that after this farewell, they would not meet for a long period of time. After all, that answer, Dmo Xian should not be able to answer her immediately. But, that evening, he came. Had he brought his answer? Yiqing Luo felt nervous for no reason. He just laid there, bewitching peach blossom eyes, smiling as he gazed at Yiqing Luo. She just stood at the door, staring at Dmo Xian without blinking. That pair of eyes was like a deep pool, just one look and one would sink into it. Drip, drip, the sound of water dripping was especially clear in the silent room. When Yiqing Luo regained her senses, she heard the sound of water dripping. Looking in the direction of the voice, he saw a bamboo pole in the corner of the room. A greenish-white academy uniform hung from it, as well as a set of undergarments that were dripping wet. Instantly, Yiqing Luo felt as though she was in a mess. Damn it! Was she dreaming? Or was there something wrong with his eyes? When did she wash her uniform and undergarments? She remembered that after she came back from training, she took a shower. She didn't have the time to wash her clothes, so she soaked them in the wooden bucket. How could it be, washed clean and hung neatly? Yiqing Luo's mouth twitched a few times as she turned her head stiffly to look at Dmo Xian. It's just that you. She could not ask any more questions. He really could not imagine the scene of the high and mighty Di Zun rolling up his sleeves and washing his clothes. It was so beautiful that one could not bear to look at it. Dmo Xian propped himself up as his brows rose slightly, his long and narrow eyes outlined a devilish arc. Why? Can't I help Lil Luo, or wash her clothes? It was indeed him. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened as it was filled with disbelief. Washing clothes was one thing. But even the undergarments. Chapter 281. You didn't sleep for the entire night and went through extra training early in the morning, you should be very tired. Dmo Xian flipped over and got down from the bed, his purple robe fluttering in the wind, leaving behind a gorgeous shadow. That peerless face of his didn't reveal any unnaturalness at all. As though washing Yiqing Luo's clothes was an extremely normal thing to do. In just a few steps, Dmo Xian had already stopped in front of Yiqing Luo. That whiff of sandalwood fragrance almost made Yiqing Luo intoxicated. You. Yiqing Luo's eyes sparkled as her heart pounded furiously. Because he was afraid that she was too tired, so he washed her clothes for her? Had he done such a thing before? Did his action of washing her clothes represent that he already had an answer in his heart? Her words were not able to complete. Yiqing Luo's body suddenly leaned forward as she fell into Dmo Xian's arms. The next second, the man's arm wrapped around her waist tightly. Lil Luo, the question you asked me this morning, I've thought about it for a long time. Dmo Xian's hoarse voice rang beside her ear. Long? Was this considered long? This concerned their future, even a lifetime's matter, even if it was considered for a few days, or even a few months. It was very normal. Dmo Xian's long arm tightened a little, his scorching breath almost stuck to Yiqing Luo's neck. After thinking about it, I still follow my initial thoughts. In love, he didn't know how to beat around the bush, nor did he need to beat around the bush. This kind of question dragged on for a long time, would only make the other party's imagination run wild. Lil Luo, I don't know what's called love a person. Dmo Xian squinted his peach blossom eyes, his voice bewitching, deep and husky, intoxicating one's heart. His 5 fingers grabbed Yiqing Luo's little hand, forcefully inserted into the gaps of her fingers, 10 fingers interlocked. Yiqing Luo's heart pounded violently, as her breathing became hurried. Dmo Xian's words, she indistinctly understood the meaning behind it. Her pink lips trembled, her voice was dry and slightly nervous. I also don't understand this kind of feeling. It was because he did not understand that when he faced Dmo Xian, his heart that was beating wildly would reflexively accelerate. Because she didn't understand, after getting used to Dmo Xian's hugs, touches, kisses, and even falling asleep beside him, that ambiguous feeling started to accumulate bit by bit. Yiqing Luo was not one to procrastinate. Even in the face of love, it was the same. She had lived 2 lives, but she had never experienced such a thing. She had spent her life in a storm of blood, fighting, and killing. But after all, she was a woman. Towards this mysterious and unfathomable man who was so strong that he could destroy the heavens and earth with a flick of his finger, there was no doubt that Yiqing Luo's heart was moved. So, what's your answer? Yiqing Luo looked up. The man's smooth jawline came into view. A hint of hesitation appeared on that peerless face of his. He furrowed his brows, feeling extremely uneasy. It was obvious that Dmo Xian was nervous. Aware of this, Yiqing Luo's brows flowed with a shallow gentleness. Her pair of charming eyes were filled with smiling intent, as the lines of her beautiful face became even more bewitching and gentle. Dmo Xian, give me your answer. She opened her mouth once again, as her enchanting eyes overflowed with some banter and ridicule. She stretched out her hand, as it circled around Dmo Xian's neck, while the other hand's fingertip followed his brows, tracing his contours. Dmo Xian's lips curled up slightly, as his pitch-black pupils reflected Yiqing Luo's face. She was charming and lovely, her peerless beauty was unparalleled. It was all in his eyes, presenting the most beautiful picture. Chapter 282. Yiqing Luo's hair fell on Dmo Xian's chest, entwining with him tightly. You asked me this morning if I like you. The man's voice was blurred between his teeth. He kissed her and released Yiqing Luo, giving her another light peck. Then he placed his head on Yiqing Luo's neck. The scorching breath, the thin lips brushed past Yiqing Luo's skin, causing her delicate body to tremble. I had been thinking about this question for the whole day, asking my heart repeatedly. Dmo Xian's voice was languid, with a hint of nervousness. There has never been anyone who could lead my thoughts, who could linger in my heart. Dmo Xian's lips curled up, his finger stroked Yiqing Luo's swollen pink lips. His finger, with a scorching temperature, ignited Yiqing Luo's lips. After I go back today, in my eyes, mind and heart, it will be filled with your figure. The whole day, Dmo Xian thought about it for the whole day. His mind was filled with Yiqing Luo's figure. He even thought that if he didn't like Yiqing Luo would definitely keep a distance from him. By then, Yiqing Luo would throw herself into someone else's arms. Just a picture, Dmo Xian's chest was filled with a raging fire, his heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys had a feeling of exploding. He absolutely would not allow a second man to appear by Yiqing Luo's side. This kind of thought, didn't it precisely prove his heart? I can't wait for a moment, after I realize this feeling, I can't wait to hold you in my arms. Dmo Xian's face, rubbed twice on Yiqing Luo's neck. If this wasn't love, Dmo Xian could totally put this matter behind him after he and Yiqing Luo separated. But Yiqing Luo's question, and the answer that Yiqing Luo wanted, was replayed in his mind, word by word. There was no intention to stop at all. This was the first time in Dmo Xian's life, he couldn't control his own heart. This is your answer? Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips, both hands cupped his face. You don't regret it? The gap between them was too big. If they were together, they would definitely face a lot of disputes and obstructions in the future. I never regret what I do. Dmo Xian's peerlessly handsome face stuck to her fair little hand, especially, towards you, I have no regrets. His large palm held onto Yiqing Luo's little hand as a pair of glistening eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. Moreover, you don't have the chance to regret. From the moment I asked that question, I have no intention of regretting it. Yiqing Luo smiled sweetly, her eyes were filled with determination. We don't know much about each other, and we haven't spent a lot of time together. However, if we make this decision, we'll have plenty of time to get to know each other, and walk into each other's worlds. Dmo Xian's long and narrow brows narrowed slightly, outlining a devilish curve. His pitch-black pupils gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. That delicate and lovely face was full of amorous feelings. That pair of eyes were filled with determination. It was as if one could feel boundless hope just by looking into them. The smile in Dmo Xian's eyes deepened and the lines on his face turned gentler. This was the woman he fancied. She was not pretentious at all. If he liked her, then he liked her. If he didn't like her, then he would cut it off immediately. Such a woman with such character, how could he not like her, how could he not love her? Lil Luo, is handing over the rest of her life to me? Chapter 283. Yiqing Luo's body softened in Dmo Xian's arms. Her cheeks were flushed and her eyes overflowed with a smile, enchanting like a flower. Since I chose to believe you and choose to be with you, I have also thought about the future. This kind of relationship, perhaps to Yiqing Luo, was a little too fast. But at least, she took the initiative to take the first step for this relationship. Even if she really died in the future, she would not regret it. She and Dmo Xian did not spend too much time together. But every time, Dmo Xian was able to make her heart beat faster. Dmo Xian's eyes were deep as his palm caressed her delicate face. You'd better think carefully. If you're entangled by me, you'll never be able to escape the love net that I've set for you in this lifetime. I will gladly endure hardship. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile. A pair of soft hands had already wrapped around Dmo Xian's neck. Hooking him downwards, she took the initiative to offer her red lips. However, in the next second, Yiqing Luo was turned around. Her body suddenly fell backwards as Dmo Xian's warm and rough kiss landed fiercely on her lips. The elegant sandalwood fragrance overflowed, almost making Yiqing Luo faint. Yiqing Luo's curly long eyelashes, unnaturally fluttered, covered with a layer of hazy feeling. Her heart missed a few beats, throbbing incessantly. This kind of intimacy, this kind of kiss, was not the first time she and Dmo Xian had. But this time, it made Yiqing Luo's whole body go limp. Her eyes were like silk, her mind was a blank, intoxicated in this kiss, unable to extricate herself. Was it because the relationship between them, from ambiguous, had become open and aboveboard? The change of the state of mind, the feeling of the kiss, was not the same. The two of them were intimate until it was nearing the time of the canteen's opening. Dmo Xian then reluctantly loosened his arms around Yiqing Luo's delicate body, his face full of resentment. Oh yes, Dmo Xian, our relationship. Can we keep it a secret for now? Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment and said, I want to rely on my own strength, to stand at the same height as you, side by side with you to look at the prosperous times. Although she had confirmed the relationship with Dmo Xian, but Yiqing Luo still hoped that her own cultivation path would still proceed according to her own plan. If she had Dmo Xian's protection, she would indeed be able to lead a peaceful life without any worries. But in her bones, she was burning with the hot blood of an adventurer. Ordinary days did not suit her. What Yiqing Luo wanted was to have the taste of standing by Dmo Xian's side one day, and not to blindly follow behind Dmo Xian, protected by him. Good. Dmo Xian's heart was deeply moved. Yiqing Luo saying these words was within his expectations. However, he was still deeply shaken. Since ancient times, no matter how high a woman's Xian rank was, or how talented she was in cultivation, after marriage, she would treat her husband as the sky, and be the woman behind her husband's family. And his little Luo heir had to stand by his side and walk side by side with him. Dmo Xian, who was about to leave, abruptly turned back and stretched out his long arms, pulling Yiqing Luo into a tight embrace. I believe that this day won't take long, I will wait for you. Yiqing Luo pushed him. You should leave first, after all this is the academy, if you are discovered by others, it would cause a commotion. Dmo Xian pursed his thin lips, his fingertips brushed the long hair on Yiqing Luo's cheek to the side of her ear. What did you forget to call me again? Yiqing Luo's eyelids drooped slightly. It's just a form of address, no need to be so serious. Chapter 284. Would she die if she didn't mention her underwear? Yiqing Luo blushed. This man didn't allow her to say anything and just washed her clothes. Forget about washing the uniform, a lady's personal belongings. He actually washed them too. She had yet to settle the score with him and he dared to use this matter to block her? Yiqing Luo raised her fist and pounded on Dmo Xian's chest, gritting her teeth as she gave a snort. If you can't call my name, then call me husband. Husband? Dmo Xian accurately caught Yiqing Luo's fist and placed it in front of his chest as his lips curled into a teasing arc. Damn. Simply too shameless. Yiqing Luo's eyes twitched as she heard Lu Xiaoyu's call from outside the door. She gritted her teeth and spat out 2 words, ah. Xian. Why did it feel that every time she called his name, she was being forced? These 2 words just spilled out from Yiqing Luo's pink lips. Her body, which was tightly wrapped in his warm embrace, suddenly felt light. In front of her, Dmo Xian's figure had disappeared. She chased a few steps forward and walked to the half-opened window as she stuck her head out. Outside the window, there were only a few female students walking by. She didn't see Dmo Xian's tall and slender figure. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze as both her hands rested on the window sill as she looked down absent-mindedly. Her fair little hands slowly pressed down on her heart. Her heart was thumping, the frequency of its beating had not slowed down because of Dmo Xian's departure. Dmo Xian's sandalwood scent lingered in the air. What remained on her body was Dmo Xian's scorching heat. Condensing her own palms, she could still vaguely feel the touch of Dmo Xian holding her little hand. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but burst out laughing. She had been instilled with the concept not to fall in love with anyone since a long time ago. Her existence was to carry forward the Yi family, this hidden family, and to work hard to contribute to the country. She had no right to talk about love. She had never thought that there would be such a day, like a little girl, lost because of a man's departure. Qing Luo. Qing Luo, are you asleep? Lu Xiaoyu called out from outside the door. Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses as her slender fingers clenched tightly. I'm here. She straightened her clothes, walked over quickly, and opened the door. Lu Xiaoyu stood at the door and when she saw Yiqing Luo coming out, she heaved a sigh of relief. Just now student Mo told me that you've arranged to meet at 5 p.m. and it's almost 5 p.m. Mo Yuying? Yiqing Luo's brows rose slightly as she glanced at Mo Yuying's room door. The door was still tightly shut. Student Mo has already left. Lu Xiaoyu patted Yiqing Luo's shoulder. Today's meal is off, I'll treat you again next time. Regarding Mo Yuying's identity, everyone in the academy knew that she was a student of the devil class. Otherwise, Shangguan Liuli, who was a new student, wouldn't have changed her attitude the moment she saw Mo Yuying, and even tried to make a move on her. Lu Xiaoyu felt that now that Yiqing Luo had entered the devil class, she would be Mo Yuying's classmate. For Mo Yuying to meet Yiqing Luo, it was definitely because of devil classes matters. Yiqing Luo recalled that Xiao Jin mentioned that the devil classes students had to report to the training grounds at 5 p.m. Yiqing Luo nodded her head as she walked directly towards the devil class's direction. To Yiqing Luo, she was already a part of the devil class. Towards group activities, she tried her best not to be absent, so she wouldn't be absent. When she reached the devil class, she walked towards the bleak outer courtyard with ease. Just as she stood at the second door, Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as her nostrils picked up a whiff of medicinal herb smell. Chapter 285. In the afternoon when Yiqing Luo reported to the devil class, this door was smeared with an extremely light and refreshing herbal scent. At this moment, the smell of the medicine was a little pungent. So pungent that her head was aching faintly. She suddenly recalled that afternoon when she casually mentioned to change the suggestion of just smelling it. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched a few times. It was really accepted? But this smell was too obvious. Yiqing Luo covered her nose with one hand and held her feather fan with the other, intending to use her profound chi to push open the door, which was smeared with medicine. Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, there were a few crisp claps in his ears. Someone's there? Yi Qing Luo turned her head sharply. Behind her, a lady dressed in a lake green long dress was raising her hand and applauding. That lady's long dress was wrapped with a same-color gauze waistband, and there were a few embroidered pouches hanging from it. Her dress was layered, and when she walked, she looked like a fluttering butterfly. The lady had a simple hair bun, and the jade hairpin made her look even more elegant and noble. I heard from the assistant class monitor that the new student in Devil class knows how to refine medicine, and her ability isn't small. I thought he was bragging, but I didn't expect. You actually have some skills. The lady's clear voice was like pearls falling on a plate, extremely pleasant to the ears. As the lady walked closer, a pleasant herbal scent floated over. Yi Qing Luo seemed to have thought of something as she retracted the vigilance in her eyes and laughed lightly. In front of the young matriarch of the divine doctor family, this little ability of mine is nothing. It's just that my nose is more sensitive than ordinary people. You know me? Hearing Yi Qing Luo accurately state her identity, the lady revealed an astonished expression. You deal with medicinal herbs all year round, so there will be remnants of herbal scent on your body. Yi Qing Luo pointed at her own nose. According to my understanding, the only person in Devil class who deals with medicinal herbs is one of the members of the class committee, Bei Ming Lulu. Indeed, an outstanding sense of smell. Bei Ming Lulu's eyes revealed some probing. It's rare that there's an alchemist in Devil class. If you're free, we can discuss it together. Yi Qing Luo nodded. She was just a half-baked alchemist, while Bai Ming Lulu had been well-versed in medical books since childhood, and was also known as the young master genius doctor with a magical hand that could bring the dying back to life. In terms of alchemy, she had quite a high attainment. She could also take the opportunity to ask about how to refine the elixir to repair Ziling's legs. It's almost 5 p.m. You should go in first. Bai Ming Lulu took out a handkerchief and wiped the ointment on the door before pushing open the second courtyard door. There were already many students standing on the training ground. Some were warming up, while others were chatting at the side. It was very lively. The minute Yi Qing Luo entered, there was a moment of silence on the training ground. But soon, the students shifted their gazes, and the commotion resumed. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi stood at one end of the training ground, and after seeing Yi Qing Shan, Qiao Jin walked over. Yi Qing Luo, you've just joined the class, and although you've joined the class committee, but for the students' training, you'll have to temporarily participate in it for a period of time. The class committee of the Devil class did not need to participate in the training together with the students. Their main task was to keep an eye on the students who were training, and to correct the students' mistakes in training, as well as to guide them. But Yi Qing Luo was a newcomer. Although she had defeated Dan Baishi and Tong Ziqing the moment she arrived, but the students in the class were still unconvinced of her. Chapter 286. Sure. Yi Qing Luo agreed without any hesitation. She still needed more training to consolidate this body's foundation. Another round of training would absolutely be helpful to her. Qiao Jin nodded and returned to the training grounds, observing the other students. Yi Qing Luo had no interest in interacting with the others. Those students were curious and afraid of Yi Qing Luo, so under the situation where they didn't understand her, they naturally wouldn't initiate a conversation. Yi Qing Luo was happy to be alone as she walked to a corner and waited for the training to start. Get up and continue. Waste, you're the most waste in the entire class. Don't drag us down. Before she could steady herself, she heard an ear-piercing mocking laughter. Get up quickly. Someone stretched out his leg to kick her. A lady's dull moan was heard, bearing with the pain and sobbing tone, not daring to make a sound. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked over. She saw 7 to 8 students forming a circle beside the weapons rack. There were 2 students who raised their legs, kicking the person who was surrounded. School violence, class violence was really everywhere. Ugh. Don't hit me, I'll run right away, I'll run right away. The lady kept on sobbing, drawing in cold breaths in pain. This voice. Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly as her gaze fixed on those students. Indeed, she saw that the lady who was surrounded by everyone was Ni Ruopan. She cut a sorry figure as her uniform was pulled into a mess, and her figure was so skinny that it seemed as though she wouldn't be able to stand steadily and fall onto the ground in the next second. Ni Ruopan climbed up and apparently saw Yiqing Luo. She went into a slight daze and immediately lowered her head, supporting her tottering body as she ran past her. Her steps were staggering as she ran step by step with great difficulty. She hadn't run for a few steps when she fell onto the ground again. Coincidentally, she fell right beside Yiqing Luo's feet. Ni Ruopan's eyes were red as she bit her lower lip tightly, not daring to look at Yiqing Luo. Whereas those 7 to 8 students, on seeing Ni Ruopan fall once again, all of them started to laugh as they walked over. I already said this waste can't run more than a few steps. Waste is waste, she can't even run 2 rounds of the training grounds. Why do you think this kind of trash is still in the devil class? He's basically dragging down our collective standard. Yiqing Luo heard these people's malicious words and lowered her head to look at Ni Ruopan, whose head was hung low, sobbing softly but not daring to rebuke at all. Her heart felt a burst of vexation. She frowned and took a few steps to the side. The students gathered around Ni Ruopan again and continuously ridiculed and insulted her. Yiqing Luo gazed at Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi didn't seem surprised at all, as if they were already used to the students' class violence towards Ni Ruopan. No matter where it was, strength ruled, and the weak were prey to the strong. It was the same for the devil class. The students taunted and cursed excitedly. Some students even pulled out a metal rod from the weapons rack at the side. The student played with the iron rod in his hand and laughed, "Get out of the way. This trash has no motivation without pressure. Watch me lead her to run 2 laps." The students roared with laughter and took a few steps back. Ni Ruopan turned her head away in fear. Her eyes were filled with tears. "No. I'll run. I'll run. Seeing how strenuous it is for you to run, I'll supervise you from the back. I'll absolutely let you run 2 laps easily." Ha ha ha. The student holding the iron rod laughed out loud. Chapter 287. The momentum of this strike wasn't ferocious. After all, they were classmates, and if he really killed Ni Ruopan, Long Yunzhan would absolutely not let him off. But if this strike landed on Ni Ruopan, she would probably not be able to get up for several days. The crowd of students had an expression as though they were used to it as they crowded around to watch the show. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The person holding the iron rod was sent flying like a kite with a broken string before the rod could even land on him. They saw a slender figure standing beside Ni Ruopan, with a burst of profound wave beneath her feet. Apparently, she was the one who struck out and sent the student holding the metal rod flying. The few students who were crowding around revealed an unhappy expression. "Student Yi, she doesn't need your good intentions. Why do you keep helping her?" Towards Yiqing Luo, the students didn't feel close to her. Especially when they found out that she was only a yellow profound 9th grade cultivator, they were filled with disdain. But after all, she was the class monitor's appointed committee member, so they couldn't be as obvious as how they treated Ni Ruopan. Yiqing Luo looked down at Ni Ruopan, who was lying on the ground sobbing, as she couldn't conceal the impatience in between her brows. "Get up." She didn't want to make a move. But looking at Ni Ruopan's terrified expression, and recalling that afternoon, Ni Ruopan was obviously afraid but still stubbornly stood out to speak up for her. She still made a move to save Ni Ruopan. And the most important point was, she really couldn't stand this kind of fellow who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Ni Ruopan curled up on the ground. Her face was filled with embarrassment and shame. "If you know how to be embarrassed, then get up right now." Yiqing Luo's brows creased tightly as she berated sternly, "Here, acting pitiful, no one cares about you." Ni Ruopan's eyes were filled with tears as she stared at Yiqing Luo in disbelief, as though she couldn't understand what she meant by acting pitiful. Yi-Ching Luo sneered, yellow profound 6th grade is considered low? To be able to pass Heavenly Academy's entrance assessment is considered trash? Putting on a look of a weakling all day long, just dropping a few tears to gain sympathy. I'm telling you, this will only make these people look down on you even more, ridicule and humiliate you even more. His sonorous and forceful voice struck the hearts of the students one by one. That student who was flung away by Yi-Ching Luo got up with the help of the other students, as his eyes were filled with astonishment. Didn't Yi-Ching Luo want to help Enrich Ruopan? Why is he reprimanding Enrich Ruopan now? Don't be so full of yourself, Enrich Ruopan sobbed. She curled up her body and bit her lower lip. Even though you're only at the yellow mystic realm, you're so powerful. You're an expert, and you're also highly regarded by the class monitor. I don't have anything, you don't have the right to say that about me. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and tears welled up in her eyes. I'm not qualified? Yi-Ching Luo sneered as her vision swept across the surrounding students. I'm sure everyone knows that I'm Three Springs Sect's young matriarch Yi-Ching Luo. The students were stunned for a moment and suddenly understood the reason why Yi-Ching Luo asked this question. Yes. How could Yi-Ching Luo not be qualified? In the past 15 years, Yi-Ching Luo was synonymous with waste. As a member of Three Springs Sect, other than possessing a heaven-defying profound jade heart which was worthy of others' envy, she was a waste without any cultivation foundation. Especially after that, there were rumors that her profound jade heart had been dug out. She was more qualified than anyone else to say these words. Enrich Ruopan also reacted, as her tightly biting lower lip loosened up slightly. That's right, Yi-Ching Luo was a waste for 15 years. But now, she was standing right in front of her, and was regarded as a strong expert by herself. Chapter 288. I've never thought of myself as trash. That's why I can stand here and call myself your expert. When she mentioned the word strong, Yi-Ching Luo's tone was filled with ridicule. Soon after, her tone softened as she spoke in an indifferent tone. These people were once the trash that was ridiculed by others. They also shed tears as they begged those so-called experts to let them go. Do you think that if you cry, beg for mercy, show weakness, and humble yourself, they will let you go? Enrich Ruopan shuddered. Her widened eyes were filled with an unusual emotion. She propped herself up as she knelt on the ground, as her mind kept reverberating with Yi-Ching Luo's words. Would it? I won't. These people had no sympathy for anyone. Even if she was on the verge of death, these people would still mock and humiliate her. Ever since she entered the devil class, she had always been alone. Because of this, when he saw Yi-Ching Luo, who was also a freshman coming to class, and saw Yi-Ching Luo being insulted by Tong Ziqing, he subconsciously didn't want the freshman to receive such treatment. Such days were too bitter and tiring. She couldn't take it anymore. Yi-Ching Luo calmly looked at Enrich Ruopan, who was hugging her knees in silence, as her vision slowly shifted towards towards the group of students who were watching a good show. Her charming eyes were like a sharp blade. When her gaze swept past, it was as if a sharp blade had pierced into the flesh. Under that pair of eyes, the students, who were originally smiling playfully, all became serious. And you guys? Yi-Ching Luo narrowed her eyes. Before you guys came to devil class, weren't you all trash as well? The expressions of the surrounding students changed. This was the past which they all wanted to bury, and now that Yi-Ching Luo had dug it out in the open, their gazes revealed an ominous glint as they stared at Yi-Ching Luo. In the past, you were also treated like how you treated Enrich Ruopan, right? Yi-Ching Luo directly ignored their gazes as her lips curled into a ridiculing arc. The feeling of being ridiculed, being looked down upon. You all understand it best, isn't it? The students clenched their fists, their faces as dark as charcoal. In the crowd, a student angrily retorted, "Let bygones be bygones. Now, we are not worse than anyone else. None of us are useless. No one can mock us." Exactly. That's all in the past. Now, no one can mock us. We don't need to understand that feeling. With one student taking the lead, the others immediately followed suit. With the help of the class monitor, they finally got rid of the title of trash and got rid of that miserable life. No one wanted to be reminded of their past downfall. The surrounding students were in a hubbub, but Yiqing Luo still maintained her cold smile. It was until those students who were filled with righteous indignation started to quiet down when Yiqing Luo started to laugh softly. Her eyes were enchanting, and her gaze was filled with disdain. Did you find comfort by mocking an Rupen? In that case, what's the difference between you and those who once mocked you? What right do you have to hate those who once mocked you? The surrounding students were stunned. Their faces that were originally filled with anger gradually turned into astonishment. That was right. What was the difference between them and those who had once humiliated them? When they saw how useless Ni Rupen was, they wanted to humiliate her. Did he really find comfort in this way? No, not at all. Looking at Ni Rupen's submissive look, not only was there no excitement in their hearts, they were even more infuriated. Chapter 289. This feeling, all of you know best. It's because you've all suffered such treatment. Shouldn't you be more united, giving her a little more heartache and concern? Help her. Seeing everyone's stunned and complicated expressions, Yiqing Luo slowed down her tone. But in her words, that awe-inspiring power still existed. Yiqing Luo was very clear about these people's mentality. These people had treated Ni Ruopan as their past self. The more they swallowed their anger, the more they hated themselves in the past, so the more ruthless they were towards Ni Ruopan. If she can't complete the training, you have many ways to let her complete it. Yiqing Luo continued, with your help, she completed the training. This redemption is not only for Ni Ruopan, but also for the past you. Well said. A clear voice was heard from the other end of the training ground. Long Yunzhan was seen with his hands behind his back, strolling over. He was dressed in a blue long robe, which matched that pair of azure blue eyes perfectly. That handsome face was expressionless and indifferent. On the training ground, everyone shut their mouths because of Long Yunzhan's arrival. Even their breathing became careful. Long Yunzhan walked to the side of the training ground and stood beside Xiao Jin. His azure blue eyes gazed at Yiqing Luo without blinking. Class monitor. The students immediately lined up properly, bowing respectfully towards Long Yunzhan. Ni Ruopan, who was sitting on the ground in a daze, also hurriedly stood up. She had been lying on the ground for too long, and with this sudden stand-up, Ni Ruopan's footsteps were unstable, as she fell down again. Yiqing Luo supported her in time, as she steadily caught her. Thank you. Ni Ruopan bit her lips, as her eyelids drooped down. Knowing shame means that there's still hope. Yiqing Luo steadied her, as she said calmly, these people were once looked down upon, low-leveled cultivators. They can abandon their past, to become strong, why can't you? Ni Ruopan's lips trembled, as that pair of weak eyes suddenly became firm. Sorry, I know. She took a deep breath, as she forcefully propped up her body, as she slowly moved Yiqing Luo's arm away. Even though her entire body was in pain, and she couldn't stand properly, but she still clenched her teeth, as she walked to the back of the team. This was the first step she decided to take. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze and was about to join the line when she discovered that all the students' eyes were fixed on her. What the hell was going on? Why was everyone looking at her like that? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she realized that the reason why everyone was looking at her was because Long Yunzhan stared at her, his gaze never shifting away. As though noticing that Yiqing Luo had flown into a rage out of embarrassment, Long Yunzhan shifted his vision away. Long Yunzhan didn't look at Yiqing Luo, and the other students naturally followed his line of sight. When they looked at Long Yunzhan, their eyes revealed unconcealable admiration. Student Ye's words are very well said. Long Yunzhan's expression was calm, but circles of ripples appeared in his azure blue eyes. This is also the idea that I have been instilling in everyone. Here, no one is trash. Even if you're allocated to the devil class, as long as you cooperate with my training, and put in the hard work, you will absolutely not be any worse than now. Saying that, Long Yun Zhan's indifferent gaze fell onto Ni Roa Pan. I've understood student Ni's situation, and because of that, my expectations aren't high. Every morning, afternoon and night, circle the training grounds twice. Just like what student Yi said, if student Ni can't complete it, then you should think of ways to help her. If student Ni is able to complete it, then compared to you using bullying methods to coerce her, force her, it should be much happier. Chapter 290. Could it be because of Yiqing Luo? If it was on usual days, the class monitor wouldn't even come to the training grounds, not to mention coming to the devil class twice in one day. And it was rare to see the class monitor echoing the other students' words. Even for Qiao Jin and the others, the class monitor might not give them any face. Damn! What was the relationship between the class monitor and this freshman? The hearts of the students began to stir. Their minds had already started to fill in the things that had to be said between the freshman and the class monitor. Alright, it's not early anymore, let's get down to business. Qiao Jin clapped his hands, indicating for the students to place their attention on him. The students immediately puffed out their chests and stood perfectly straight. I heard that half a month later, the two classes in the High Profound class will be having a class competition and the location is set at the Heavenly Training Forest behind the academy. While Qiao Jin was speaking, the gold coin darts in his hands were thrown into the air from time to time, drawing an arc. Yiqing Luo had some impression of the Heavenly Training Forest. She had seen the introduction of the Heavenly Training Forest in the handbook. That was specially built by the academy for the students to undergo actual combat training. It had the same effect as the Magic Beast Forest. According to the level of training, it was divided into Low Profound Zone, Intermediate Profound Zone, High Profound Zone and God Zone. Every month, the academy would arrange for each class to enter the training forest to undergo actual combat training. At the end, the students with the best performance would be awarded as a form of commendation. Of course, this kind of training forest would never belong to the devil class. Hearing Qiao Jin mention about the training forest, Yiqing Luo's interest was piqued. That day, all the students will also enter the Heavenly Training Forest to undergo training. Qiao Jin's gaze suddenly turned cold. So, are you all prepared? The students' eyes suddenly lit up, revealing an excited expression. Ready. Yiqing Luo raised her brows in interest, looking at the excited faces of the students, rubbing their palms together. Obviously, it wasn't the first time the devil class's students had followed the students from other classes to enter the Heavenly Training Forest for training. According to the handbook's records, the class had to go through the elders to enter the Heavenly Training Forest. The entrance was guarded by the elders. How could the devil class's students sneak in? Are you in high spirits? Very good. The corners of Qiao Jin's mouth curled upwards. Although his face was unremarkable, it possessed a different kind of charm. Everyone, start training. Line up and start running. Let's strive to obtain an outstanding result after entering the training forest. Just as Qiao Jin finished speaking, the students who were lined up neatly in 4 rows quickly lined up and started jogging one after another. His movements were precise and consistent, as if he had practiced this countless times. Yiqing Luo saw this and couldn't help but sigh silently. This tacit understanding was simply godly. More than 50 people surrounded the training ground and started jogging. Yiqing Luo followed closely behind, running along. Having just entered these students, Yiqing Luo wasn't aware of their rhythm. Although it seemed a little rushed, but it didn't disrupt these students' rhythm. It was merely half an incense's time and Yiqing Luo had already grasped the students' running frequency, keeping up with their progress. Ni Rupan was exhausted from running earlier, and she was injured by the students, so it was extremely tiring for her to run. In less than half a round, Ni Rupan was already behind the students. But this time round, Ni Rupan wasn't like before, lying on the ground weakly after falling down. She clenched her teeth tightly as she climbed up and followed behind the students, running step by step. Chapter 291. Yiqing Luo was right. These students were once the same as her, a group that was labeled as waste. But hadn't these students walked out from the past? Now, in front of those who had labeled them as waste, they could be called strong. If these students could do it, why couldn't she? Her wish was to become a powerful cultivator like Tong Ziqing. If she didn't put in any effort, how could she achieve her wish? The students took big strides, running round after round. At the front of the training ground, Yan Xiaoyi's sweet voice rang out leisurely. The students who came to the devil class, doesn't mean that you are all waste. To be able to pass the Heavenly Academy's assessment, you are much stronger than ordinary people. To be able to pass the devil class's welcome ceremony, you are also very powerful. Her voice was clearly very soft, but it was filled with a convincing force. As long as you cooperate with the class monitor's training, I guarantee, the devil class's students will be more powerful than the high profound class, or even the class of gods. Let me tell you another inspiring news. Yan Xiaoyi's gaze swept past the students one by one. The top 3 students with outstanding performance in the Heavenly Training Forest will be rewarded with a bottle of profound chi pill developed by Lulu. The students who were running immediately started breathing erratically, and a series of gasps sounded. Yiqing Luo frowned in puzzlement. Profound chi pill? She had never seen this kind of pill in the 100 Medicines pill refining. The student beside her saw her puzzled expression, or maybe he was Bei Ming Lulu's diehard fan, opened his mouth to explain. This profound chi pill is a profound chi pill developed by Bei Ming Goddess. After taking one, your meridians will be unobstructed, reaching the best state of cultivation. Yiqing Luo heard this, and her eyes immediately lit up. If during cultivation, to keep the meridians unobstructed, and the body free of impurities, it was indeed the best cultivation state. Cultivating in this state for 1 day was equivalent to 5 days of normal cultivation. It could achieve twice the result with half the effort. No wonder these students were so surprised. Unfortunately, the profound chi pill can only maintain the effect for 1 hour. That student sighed helplessly, but there are 10 profound chi pills in a bottle. If the state of mind is right, perhaps it can break through the profound grade. Yiqing Luo nodded thoughtfully. On the other side, Yan Xiaoyi saw the looks of astonishment and desire on the faces of the students, and her lips curled into a smile. Do you have the confidence to get into the top 3? Yes. Do you want to achieve outstanding results in the training forest? Yes. One after another, the impassioned words were deafening. Long Yunzhan's indifferent azure eyes were faintly tainted with a trace of a faintly discernible smile. He stared at Yiqing Luo, gazing deeply at her without blinking. Xiao Jin stood at the side and saw everything clearly. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. What kind of ability did this Yiqing Luo have? The class monitor, who had always been pure in heart and few in desires, actually fell under her skirt? Although Yiqing Luo's looks were indeed not bad, and could even be described as stunning. But the class leader doesn't seem like someone who would lust after beauty. Xiao Jin stroked his chin with a thoughtful expression. What are you looking at? Long Yunzhan turned his head slightly, as his brows creased slightly. Xiao Jin grinned, as he gave an ambiguous smile. Class monitor, be honest, have you taken a fancy to that new student? Long Yunzhan's expression was grave, as his gaze drifted towards Xiao Jin. Chapter 292. Long Yunzhan's gaze was serene, as though he could see through Yiqing Luo. After some time, he pursed his thin lips tightly and his voice was extremely soft, but it was heard clearly. There's a strange feeling on her, as though there's something calling out to me. From the first time he met Yiqing Luo, Long Yunzhan had this feeling. In Long Yunzhan's eyes, beauty and ugliness were merely skin. Yiqing Luo's looks was not the reason why he was attracted. But her body was emitting a scent which others couldn't smell, as well as the feeling of calling out to him. Only Long Yunzhan himself couldn't tell what kind of strange feeling that was. When Xiao Jin heard that, he was dumbstruck. You. However, Long Yunzhan didn't listen to Xiao Jin's words as he gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. turned around and headed back the way he came from. In a blink of an eye, his figure disappeared. "Hey, what did you say to class monitor?" This is the first time I've seen class monitor being so concerned about a new student. Yan Xiaoyi saw Long Yunzhan leaving and her gossipy thoughts started to ignite. Xiao Jin's lips twitched as he recalled what Long Yunzhan said and clapped his hands fiercely. Finished. Class monitor seems to have really fallen in love. Strange feeling? Calling out to him to pay attention to Yiqing Luo? Wasn't this just like liking? Yan Xiaoyi's face was filled with shock. She was just casually asking, casually guessing, and casually making a joke. Just like that. Became real? The moment Long Yunzhan left, Yiqing Luo heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Her senses were so sharp, how could she not feel that Long Yunzhan had been staring at her? Long Yunzhan's gaze was very strange. Yiqing Luo naturally wouldn't be narcissistic to think that Long Yunzhan had fallen in love with her at first sight. But that gaze, what meaning did it represent? Yiqing Luo had no way of knowing. She had to admit, as devil class monitor, Long Yunzhan's imposing manner indeed resembled a leader. To be able to train these students who were once labeled as trash to this standard, he had the right to be respected. Ao. Chi-Chi's head rubbed against Yiqing Luo's face. It curled into a furry ball, nestling firmly on Yiqing Luo's shoulder, as it stuck out its tongue to lick her face. Chi-Chi rarely appeared when there were many people around. Yiqing Luo looked at Chi-Chi doubtfully. "Woo!" Chi-Chi let out a low growl, its black tiger eyes staring in the direction that Long Yunzhan had left, and it let out another low growl. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk slightly as she maintained a uniform pace to keep up with the student's rhythm while rubbing Chi-Chi's head as she suppressed her voice. "You want to get close to Long Yunzhan?" Chi-Chi nodded her head and responded in a low voice. Chi-Chi was interested in Long Yunzhan. After all, Chi-Chi had been by her side for such a long time. Other than sleeping, she had never seen it interested in anything or anyone. She then thought of the way Long Yunzhan had looked at her just now. It seemed like there was a need to meet Long Yunzhan in private. 10 laps. In less than the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, all the students had finished running. Ni Ruopan also persisted in running 2 laps and was currently running the 3rd lap. Her head was filled with perspiration and her legs were heavy as she ran, but she clenched her teeth and persisted in moving forward. At this moment, these students didn't act like usual. After running 10 laps, they discovered that Ni Ruopan hadn't finished running 2 laps and instead lagged behind, so they went up to ridicule her. Perhaps Yiqing Luo's words earlier had infected them. Chapter 293. Come on. You can definitely finish the 3rd round. Right. Adjust your breathing and follow my rhythm, let's run together. Ni Ruopan originally ran until she was completely exhausted. Her entire body was so heavy as though it was going to collapse any time, but she kept hearing the encouragement from her classmates. This was something she had never experienced before. Those words of encouragement were like a warm spring that flowed through her heart. As though something was about to burst out of her body. In the midst of perspiration, Ni Ruopan saw 2 students running behind her. Following that, more and more students followed. In the end, even Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were following behind her, maintaining the same speed as her. The more tired she was, the more touched she felt. The more touched she was, the more she had to clench her teeth and run forward. In front of her, she couldn't see anything else. The encouragement and cheering from her classmates echoed in her mind over and over again. The heat that lingered in his body surged through his limbs and bones, wave after wave. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she stared at Ni Ruopan, who was being encouraged by the group of students. Her gaze seemed muddy, but it revealed a resolute look. Her footsteps were heavy and slow, but she still stubbornly moved forward. Yiqing Luo's eyes rose slightly as her long and narrow eyes outlined a demonic arc. She crossed her arms as she looked at the resolute Ni Ruopan, and her eyes were gradually filled with warmth. You're really an extraordinary person. Behind her, a voice as still as water was heard. Following that, a crisp bell rang and Mo Yuing had already appeared behind Yiqing Luo. She's been here for 2 months and our 100 sentences are not as good as your 1 sentence. Mo Yuying's gaze was cold as she glanced at Ni Ruopan. You're indeed filled with hope. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. It's not that I'm filled with hope, nor is it because I'm an extraordinary person. It's just that you didn't use the right method. These people had all walked out from the waste. Under Long Yunzhan's training, they had today's achievements. But deep in their hearts, they were still unable to forget the humiliation of being waste. Perhaps those with backbone and unyielding character would try their best to cooperate with Long Yunzhan's training in order to slap their faces. But Ni Ruopan was different. She had decided from the bottom of her heart that she was a good-for-nothing. Actually, Ni Ruopan isn't weak. It's just that she feels too inferior. As long as Ni Ruopan's inferiority complex and resistance toward cultivation were removed, she would definitely be able to blend in with the class. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her lips curled into an extremely shallow arc. The current Ni Ruopan only needs to persevere on and she will definitely be able to see hope. Mo Yueying's expressionless face slowly shifted towards Ni Ruopan. When he looked at Ni Ruopan's expression, a dark light flashed in his calm eyes. Ni Ruopan's breathing became smoother as she ran, and even her heavy legs seemed to have become lighter. As she ran, she enjoyed the cool breeze blowing on her cheeks. A ball of heat rose from his chest to his heart and head. All of a sudden, a powerful stream of air shot out from his body. Boom! A deafening sound was heard as Ni Ruopan stopped abruptly. At the same time, an intimidating voice rang out, "Everyone, retreat quickly." The students were usually used to hearing this command in the training grounds. When this voice rang, their bodies instinctively retreated backwards. They had just retreated a few steps when they saw Ni Ruopan's entire body emitting numerous yellow lights, densely bursting out. Chapter 294. Advanced? Ni Ruopan advanced? All the students who had retreated looked in disbelief at Ni Ruopan, who was wrapped in the profound light. This was the sign of advancement. It can't be. She can advance just by running. Does it need to be so simple? The student's tone was filled with envy and jealousy. I run 10 laps every morning, noon and night. Why didn't I advance? Not fair, not fair. The students were seething. This was the first time they saw such a way of advancement. You knew about it long ago? Mo Yuing looked at the smiling Yiqing Luo and recalled that she had dismissed a bunch of students who were surrounding Ni Ruopan in time. If she hadn't known that Ni Ruopan would advance, why would Yiqing Luo open her mouth in time? If it wasn't for Yiqing Luo's warning, the students who were surrounding Ni Ruopan would probably be sent flying by the self-protection layer formed when Ni Ruopan was advancing. Light injuries would be to the bones, heavy injuries would be to the internal organs. It was very likely that it would affect the actual combat training in the Heavenly Training Forest half a month later. Yiqing Luo shook her head, her eyes were glistening. I just found out that to advance to the profound grade, not only one's own strength and profound chi have reached the standard, but also an opportunity. Ni Ruopan's profound grade was yellow profound 6th grade, the only thing she lacked was her state of mind. This time, with Yiqing Luo's guidance, her state of mind had undergone an earth-shattering change, so naturally she would advance. Earlier Yiqing Luo also saw Ni Ruopan running, that increasingly light footsteps, and Ni Ruopan's slightly raised lips, so she deduced it. Mo Yuing nodded thoughtfully. The gaze she gave Yiqing Luo had added some deeper meaning. Ni Ruopan was enveloped in the yellow light, her chi surged and suddenly exploded. The scorching heat seemed to be burning her entire body. The heat surging crazily in his chest came wave after wave. Ah! A low cry came from Ni Ruopan's mouth. She clenched her fists and straightened her chest. The yellow light that enveloped her turned into numerous light rays, crackling as it shot out. The light dissipated and Ni Ruopan slowly opened her eyes. She stared at her own hands, her own feet, her current body. the feeling was totally different from when she was running with all her might. Her body was light as a feather, both her legs were light and powerful. His breathing was smooth, and he felt a sense of satisfaction. Classmate Yi. Thank you. Thank you. Ni Ruopan quickly realized that she had advanced. And the source of this advancement was Yi Qing Luo. If it wasn't for Yi Qing Luo's reminder, she would probably carry on living with a cowardly mentality, living on with inferiority for the rest of her life. The changes that had taken place in his body were simply incredible. Ni Ruopan was so agitated that her eyes turned red as she hurriedly walked towards Yi Qing Luo and held her wrist. I did it. I finished 2 laps and even advanced. Hold back your tears. Yi Qing Luo lightly curled her lips. Since you've decided to take this step, then don't shed a single tear. Crying is the behavior of the weak. Ni Ruopan's eyes reddened. She tried her best to hold back her tears and nodded vigorously. Nothing in the world is impossible for those who set their minds to it. Yi Qing Luo withdrew her hand. There are many things. If you do it, you might not necessarily succeed, but if you don't do it, then you will definitely not succeed. The road is walked by yourself, everything depends on you. Ni Ruopan nodded her head as she stared at Yi Qing Luo with adoration, as though she had already treated Yi Qing Luo as her idol. We're the ones who have been forgotten. The readers. Looks like too many people have been forgotten by Elder Mo. Elder Mo leaned back and shook his legs sloppily. If I want to show my face and be on camera, I have to pay something. For example, a bribe or something. All the characters fluttered towards Elder Mo. Me. Bribe. I pay. At this moment, a strong gust of wind blew. A powerful pressure immediately spread out in the hall. In the air, there seemed to be banging sounds. A purple figure descended from the sky. Everyone exclaimed, Your Majesty! Your Majesty! Dmo Xian's noble and elegant gaze swept across the group of people. Get lost. Everyone was stunned. They wanted to be promoted, but they wanted to live even more. They shrank to the side. Elder Mo, who was shaking his legs, froze on the soft couch. At this moment, his legs were no longer shaking and he was no longer smiling. He was going to be dumbfounded. Motherf ****. The Dmo Xian's aura was too strong. This author packed his bags and was ready to run away. Before he could take a few steps, the Dmo Xian's golden ratio body blocked in front of him. Elder Mo's whole body trembled and the smile on his face froze. He saw the Dmo Xian's finger move, slowly, Mamma Mia. Is this because this author flirted with his wife and he wants to kill this author? Just as Elder Mo was about to beg for mercy, he saw the Dmo Xian holding out a cake. The Dmo Xian, Elder Mo. Happy birthday. On this grand day, please give me more opportunities to get close to the female lead. Everyone, Elder Mo. Immediately, Elder Mo raised his head firmly and put on an unyielding expression. Do you think you can make me surrender with force? The Dmo Xian, 100 book coins for a hug. 500 book coins for a kiss. Elder Mo, deal. Deal. Readers, damn it, where's my integrity? Thank you, babies, for sending birthday blessings on Elder Mo's birthday. Every blessing warmed Elder Mo's heart. Elder Mo has never regretted entering the writing industry because I know that I am not the only one fighting. Thank you sincerely. Because the author has something to say recently, for some unknown reason, it has been swallowed by the system. Many words are not displayed on the phone. Let me borrow this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Ning Mo Yishian, lifetime bound, helpless He Jiao, Hetian Xia for specially sending gifts on Elder Mo's birthday. Thank you, Meow, Lulu for sending gifts and blessings. P.S. The post-grabbing activity has already begun. Just reply to the book comments at the top and wish Elder Mo well, or express your opinion about 1-1. There is a chance of winning a prize and a QQ red packet. Chapter 296. What feeling was that? The students' smiling expressions slowly froze on their faces. The noisy training grounds fell into a strange silence. They were all in deep thoughts. Xiao Jin didn't urge them as he silently played with the gold coin darts in his hands, as he waited for their reply in a composed manner. Only occasionally, his gaze would drift towards Yiqing Luo's direction. After some time, one of the students raised his arm. "I'm very happy." Xiao Jin smiled, indicating for him to continue. Seeing student Ni not only completed 2 rounds, but also ran an extra round and even advanced, "I'm very excited and very happy." This kind of feeling was unable to be expressed in words. It was as if they had seen themselves in the past, trying their best to shake off the name of waste. Seeing Ni Ruopan's advancement was like seeing themselves advancing. That kind of excitement, gratification and indescribable feeling, burned their nerves. This was indeed much better than them constantly bullying Ni Ruopan, finding balance and comfort from her. Especially when they heard Xiao Jin say that Ni Ruopan's advancement had an inseparable relationship with them, their hearts became even more agitated. Now their inner hearts were filled with fulfillment. When one of them opened his mouth, the other students started nodding their heads in agreement. At this moment, the students' gazes towards Yiqing Luo no longer had the unwillingness from before. They were sincerely grateful to Yiqing Luo for enlightening them. This new student indeed had enough ability to become a member of the class committee. With just a few words, you've subdued a bunch of stubborn students' hearts. How do you feel? Xiao Jin laughed lightly as he leaned his head over, as his brows rose in ridicule. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she remained calm. "I've said this before, right from the start, you guys didn't use the right method." "Why do you say that?" Xiao Jin asked curiously. One must know that Long Yunzhan was based on every student's characteristics, transforming them step by step, which resulted in today's devil class. Yiqing Luo actually said that they didn't use the right method right from the start? Yiqing Luo's eyes squinted as her curly long lashes cast an extremely shallow arc shadow at the corner of her eyes. "In your mindset, only the strong can survive, and you also think that it's a matter of course for these students to bully Ni Ruopan, but you haven't thoroughly understood these students' inner hearts. In devil class, perhaps these students were once waste, so they were abandoned and thrown into devil class. However, Long Yunzhan and the others weren't trash. As the saying goes, dragons give birth to dragons, and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. Their temperament determined that they were not ordinary people. You don't understand the reason why the students bullied Ni Ruopan. You also think that as a weakling, Ni Ruopan should accept such treatment. With such a mindset, you naturally won't be able to open Ni Ruopan's heart." When Xiao Jin heard this, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. "How did you know?" This freshman was too terrifying. It was only his first day in class, and he had already analyzed the temperaments of these students so thoroughly. Intuition. Yiqing Luo smiled mysteriously, her eyes curved, revealing a bit of craftiness. Apparently, Yiqing Luo had no intention to continue answering their questions. Xiao Jin rubbed his nose. Anyway, there was still a long way to go, and by then he would be able to dig out the answer that he wanted to know from Yiqing Luo's mouth. Come. In order to celebrate student Ni successfully advancing to the Yellow Xian 7th grade and taking the first step towards becoming a strong expert, let's add another 5 rounds. At that moment, the students who had smiles on their faces and had excited expressions on their faces complained to the heavens. What kind of celebration was this? It was simply torture. Although they were grumbling incessantly, but all of them still obeyed the orders and lined up properly, running around the training grounds once again. Chapter 297. The devil class's training was not as simple as the 2 instructors' freshman training. Especially in preparation for the actual combat training in the Heavenly Training Forest half a month later, Xiao Jin had been torturing everyone. For the next few days, Yiqing Luo had to report to the freshman training grounds early in the morning, to accept the 2 instructors' daily torture. By the time she returned to the dormitory from the freshman training grounds, it was already 5 in the afternoon. She would at most take a bath, nap for 1 hour, sleep for at most 2 hours before she was woken up by Chi and rushed to join the devil classes training. Although her body was exhausted, but after these few days of training, this body's quality was getting better and better. In time, it would definitely consolidate this body's quality to the strongest foundation. But in these few days, something had happened which made Yiqing Luo extremely painful, but she slowly accepted it in the midst of the pain. That was, when Yiqing Luo's body was exhausted and fell onto the bed, she felt for the medicine bottle under the pillow. That mysterious Mr. Chu sent over some medicinal pills which could relieve her body's fatigue. But this touch, she touched empty air. Could it be that someone had entered her room? That's not right. If someone else had entered her room, there would definitely be some clues left behind. Yiqing Luo had formed a habit in her past life. She remembered clearly the location of everything in her territory. If someone touched it slightly or moved it by a little, she would be able to detect it sharply. When she was lying on the bed, she didn't notice any traces of the bedding and pillow being moved. If no one entered, then who took away her medicine bottle? Just as Yiqing Luo was frowning in deep thoughts, a slight sound came from the half-opened window. The room was instantly filled with an elegant sandalwood fragrance. The man's mellow and intoxicating voice rang out leisurely. Is Lil Luo, looking for these two things? Yiqing Luo suddenly sat up straight and saw a tall and straight figure standing by the window. He was dressed in a demonic purple robe, the sleeves were wrapped with golden threads, flowing with flowing light as it swayed. It was indescribable. He had a head of cloud-like black hair that was held in place by a purple gold crown that hung down to his shoulders. He looked languid yet noble. On the peerless face, his thin lips curved into a playful arc. That pair of shining black eyes were as dazzling as obsidian. There were 2 jade bottles in his raised hand. Wasn't this the medicinal bottle that Yiqing Luo was looking for? Why are my pills with you? Yiqing Luo glared at Dmo Xian. This man had snuck into her room again without her knowing. That's right, other than Dmo Xian, there wasn't a second person who could sneak into her room and not be discovered by her. Are you sure that this is your elixir? Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows and the teasing smile on his lips deepened. Yiqing Luo's pink lips quivered as she suddenly understood the reason why he took away the bottle. You dare to accept other men's things? You still dare to use it? Seeing that Yiqing Luo didn't speak, Dmo Xian didn't intend to beat around the bush. He weighed the bottle in his hand and sneered, Lil Luo, your guts aren't small. I don't know the person who sent the medicine. Hearing Dmo Xian's interrogation, Yiqing Luo, who had a clear conscience, started to feel guilty. It was a fact that she had used other men's pills. She didn't think too much about it at that time. Because in Yiqing Luo's eyes, other than Dmo Xian, no matter if it was male or female, they were all treated equally. Chapter 298. The more Dmo Xian asked, the more guilty Yiqing Luo felt. She knew that Dmo Xian wasn't blaming her for accepting other men's things. But he was blaming her for trusting others easily. Dmo Xian was concerned about her. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered like butterfly wings as her pink lips pursed slightly. I'm an alchemist. If I don't have full confidence, I won't take it. Even old man Sung felt that this bottle of pills was of the highest grade, so naturally there wasn't any problem. However, Yiqing Luo's reply made Dmo Xian's expression turn colder as the arc on his lips turned deeper. In that case, you feel that accepting this bottle of pills is the right thing to do? Yiqing Luo. At this moment, how would she dare to nod her head? She pursed her lips as she stared at Dmo Xian's peerless face and shook her head. Since it's not right, then I'm confiscating this pill. Dmo Xian's fingers closed and that ring which was similar to Yiqing Luo's flashed as he placed the 2 bottles of pills into it. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and forcefully retracted it. Damn it. Without this bottle of pills to restore her body's energy, then she could only rely on her willpower to carry on with the devil class's training. rest for a while. Dmo Xian saw her obediently retracting her hand as his lips curled into a satisfied smile. His figure moved slightly and a purple figure pressed down on Yiqing Luo's eyes. The sandalwood scent assaulted her nostrils, as though it wanted to wrap Yiqing Luo up from head to toe. Following that, Yiqing Luo's head was resting on Dmo Xian's chest. The young lady's petite and soft body was hugged tightly in the man's arms. The man's large palm covered the young lady's head. Sleep. A deep, hoarse, and mellow voice that was like fine wine gently rang in her ears. Like a melodious lullaby, Yiqing Luo's body and mind relaxed in his arms as her eyelids became extremely heavy. Her eyes closed and fell asleep in a short while. Yiqing Luo was woken up by Qi and Shiju's licking. When she opened her eyes, Dmo Xian was no longer beside her. She reached out to touch the side of her body, but there was no trace of his warmth. But in the room, there was still a lingering sandalwood scent which made her feel at ease, proving Dmo Xian's existence. After she got off the bed, what attracted Yiqing Luo's attention wasn't Qi's constant reminders that it was only a short while to the evening, but, in the corner, hung 2 bamboo poles with her wet uniform and her underwear. Yiqing Luo's mouth twitched. This man helped her wash her clothes again. Was he really going to be the 24 filial husbands? This time, she endured it. That was enough. It was going to happen a second time. So shameful. Yiqing Luo's cheeks flushed red as she stared at the academy uniform which was still dripping water. Thinking of Dmo Xian's slender fingers, washing her clothes, washing her intimate clothes. Her cheeks turned even redder. These clothes can still be worn? No, it seemed like she was already wearing it. Yiqing Luo lowered her head and stared at the clothes on her body, as she recalled the image of Dmo Xian washing the clothes in her mind. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and her body temperature seemed to be on the rise. Ow ow ow, Qi leaped onto Yiqing Luo's shoulder, reminding her to pay attention to the time. When she heard the academy's bell ringing, Yiqing Luo's scorching heat was so scared that she broke out in cold sweat. Chapter 299. In the end, Yiqing Luo was late. As a member of the class committee, she should set an example. Hence, Yiqing Luo was punished with double training. After that, every time Yiqing Luo changed out of the uniform and woke up, the changed clothes would be washed clean and hung on the bamboo. Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation and simply prepared to wash her clothes immediately after her bath. But she was stopped by Wind, who was hiding in the dark. Unable to bear it any longer, Yiqing Luo said forcefully when Dmo Xian came to the dormitory, "I can wash my clothes myself. You are the overlord, helping a woman wash her clothes. If this gets out, you are too tired from training, rest more and recover your strength." Not waiting for her to finish, Dmo Xian had already walked over slowly and stretched out his hand to pull her into his arms. "I help my own woman wash clothes, even if this gets out, so what?" Yiqing Luo was instantly rendered speechless as she was stuffed with nothing to say. Especially the first time she heard Dmo Xian call her his own woman, Yiqing Luo's heart was thundering and beating faster. "Just take a good rest, leave the rest to me." Dmo Xian hugged her waist tightly, his warm breath was inhaling and exhaling bit by bit. The man's low and hoarse voice was filled with helplessness. "You are so stubborn and want to grow up alone, relying on your own strength to walk side by side with me. I am unable to intervene in your training, the only thing I can do for you is this." Yiqing Luo's face blushed slightly and a trace of warmth appeared. She slowly raised her head, her charming eyes were filled with warmth. The slightly raised pink lips revealed a few traces of a shy smile that never appeared on her face. After this, Yiqing Luo had completely accepted this matter and no longer showed any resistance. Time passed quickly and it was already half a month later. Tomorrow they would enter the heavenly training forest with the high profound class. In order to let everyone maintain the best condition, the students' training was cancelled and let them have a good rest. When the students heard this, they all cheered and shouted excitedly. Yiqing Luo's tiredness was also tinged with a sense of relaxation. During this period of training, she constantly trained during the day to consolidate her body's quality, and at night she entered the Azure Dew bracelet to listen to Old Man Sung's guidance to cultivate profound qi. There was no spare time at all. And in this period of time, Long Yunzhan did not return to the devil class. Yiqing Luo's request to meet Long Yunzhan on behalf of Qi was also pushed back. Tomorrow was the actual combat training, and based on Yiqing Luo's current status and position in devil class, it was rather awkward. Quite a number of students were waiting for Yiqing Luo's performance in the actual combat training. Especially Tong Ziqing and Dan Baishi. They had suffered a loss in Yiqing Luo's hands, and after finding out that Yiqing Luo had become a member of the class committee on the first day she entered the class, the entire class of students seemed to have acknowledged Yiqing Luo. In this actual combat training, if Yiqing Luo's performance wasn't outstanding, the both of them would absolutely fall out on the spot. It was better to have a good rest today and conserve energy for tomorrow's training. After quietly waiting for Qiao Jin to finish speaking, the students dispersed. Just as he was about to leave the devil class excitedly, he suddenly heard a rough and arrogant voice coming from outside the courtyard. What the F***ck? The devil class is indeed the devil class. This courtyard is so dilapidated that it's simply unlivable. The excited students' expressions suddenly congealed. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's expressions sunk slightly as they exchanged glances and looked towards the tightly shut second door. Chapter 300. For the past few years, other than those students who were forcefully allocated to devil class, no one else was willing to go near this place. But just in case, Long Yunzhan would arrange for a few students to keep watch outside devil class's courtyard, not letting anyone other than the devil class discover the devil class's secret. Coincidentally today, for the matter of entering the heavenly training forest tomorrow, Qiao Jin had set up a small array outside the courtyard and called in the students who were keeping watch outside for a meeting. Someone had broken his array. All the students held their breaths. Damn it! How can this kind of environment allow my Luo lass to study in peace? That voice was still scolding outside. Many students vaguely heard the three words, Luo lass, and their gazes all shifted to Yiqing Luo. In the entire class, the only one who could be addressed as Luo lass was Yiqing Luo alone. After Yiqing Luo heard this voice, she already knew who the person outside was. Such an irritable temper, who kept calling Luo lass, other than Master Guiyu, who else could it be? It had been almost half a month. Guiyu had mentioned that he wanted to be a master in devil class but was rejected by the elders. From Lu Xiaoyu's mouth, Guiyu had gone to look for the director. After that, there was no news of Guiyu. She had not expected him to really come to devil class. Perhaps, our devil class will have a master to teach in future. Yiqing Luo's thin lips curled slightly as she slowly walked towards the second door. The students gasped in shock. Master to teach? They had stayed in devil class for at least 5 to 6 years but had never seen a master to teach. Especially 3 years ago, when Long Yunzhan came. They didn't need those so-called masters. With Long Yunzhan and the class committee, it was enough. Student Yi, that person outside the courtyard. Is that the master you know? Qiao Jin's expression was slightly displeased. To them, the devil class was their group. With them supervising the students' training and guiding their cultivation, there was no need for those masters. They were a collective of students and didn't want any outsiders to interfere. I think you should have heard of Old Man Guiyu's name. Yiqing Luo understood their thoughts, but since Guiyu had already decided on something, even she would not be able to convince him. She could only say the name of the traveling ghost first. Old Man Guiyu's epaulette was just a yellow horizontal line. According to his status, he was the lowest-ranking teacher in the academy. However, he was always acting crazily in the academy. His temper was extremely bad, but he was respected by the other teachers. No one dared to blame him for his mysteriousness. Over time, he also became a man of the moment in the mouths of the students. All the students in the academy had guessed Old Man Guayu's identity. Because of this, the devil class students had heard of Guayu when he was mentioned. You mean Old Man Guayu is prepared to come to our class and be our teacher? One of the students swallowed hard and asked in disbelief. Guayu was mysterious and powerful in the eyes of the students, although no one had seen Guayu fight. But even the masters of the high profound class were submissive in front of Guayu, which showed Guayu's strength. Such a strong, mysterious and insane person, coming to the devil class to be a teacher? Would the academy agree? Xiao Jin frowned. Class monitor still doesn't know about this matter. Regarding Fu Zi, let's wait for class monitor to decide. Now think of a way to send Guayu away from the devil class. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.